All right, welcome into SportsBit, Sports Betting Insight. Today, I'm Pauly Howard. That's Teddy Covers. The rundown, we'll get to the Super Bowl breakdown, all the props, and market report. But first, it's a first take from Teddy on Cam Newton. Take it away.
What's up with the Cam Newton haters? I honestly don't understand it, Paul. And the goal here, where I'm not generating controversy for the sake of generating controversy, but look, if you don't like Cam Newton, if you don't think that Cam Newton is good for football and good for the NFL, I don't know how else to say it. There's a racist undertone in what you're thinking. There's no way not to like this guy. And the fact that there are so many haters out there, it's latent racism. It really, really is. What has Cam Newton done wrong? Let's see. He gives balls to kids. That's awesome. That's good for the league. He dances. Oh, heavens to Betsy. Goodness, he stole a laptop when he was 18 years old in college. Oh my gosh, he had a kid out of wedlock. So did Tom Brady, by the way. So did I. Um, the things that Newton is being hated on are just ridiculous. Cam Newton is everything that's good about football. He's fun. He's energetic. He's enthusiastic. He's kid friendly. Okay, he dances. Big deal. You gotta like the guy, and if you don't, you have to really think about why you don't. There may be something latent inside you that you're not fully recognizing. The guy's a superstar, and he may be an even bigger superstar after Sunday.
To your point, the same guy who doesn't like Cam Newton likes Johnny Manziel, who's a raging alcoholic, who the cops came in with a helicopter last weekend to find him in Dallas because he got in another argument with his girlfriend, and the kid can't play, and he's flashing money signs left and right. You see what Warren Moon said
No,
about
what did Moon say?
Warren Moon said, "You think he raped five pastors' daughters?" With what,
Exactly.
with what
What?
people think about. How many people have you run into that can't stand the guy, or if you just bring his name up, they have a problem with him and go off on a tirade or tangent?
And look, well, I don't want to get this into politics, but it seems like the same type of people that don't like Cam Newton just because of who he is, they don't like Barack Obama just because of who he is either. You see that same correlation. He hasn't done anything except for have fun and dance. That's what he's a great role model for kids, a great role model. And the fact that he's being ripped because he has a personality, it's ridiculous. It's racist. It's flat out racist.
Excellent job, Tenny. Time for the market report. Super Bowl 50 is here. Carolina 6, total of 45. I had one odds maker tell me, and he's been doing this since 1986, he can't recall one sided action like this ever in a Super Bowl. 92% of the bets on Carolina. Teddy, when's the money coming in on Denver here?
Not till it, not till the line goes to seven. And this line opened. Remember, there were lines available while the championship games were going on. And when Denver beat New England, the look ahead lines for the Super Bowl, Carolina versus Denver, were in the range of Carolina -2.5 or -3.
Correct.
Then the first numbers came up, but we saw some 3.5s, we saw some fours, we saw the LVH Superbook here in Vegas open with a 5.5 that at the time was a wildly off market number. And then, of course, everything started moving in that direction as well. But it's been nothing but Carolina money. And a lot of it has come from not just beating Arizona, but the combination of beating Arizona and Seattle, the way they won those games, just throttling those elite teams. The teams that were ranked number 2 and number 3 in my power ratings coming into the postseason, and the
Right.
fact the Panthers throttled them in the first half, complete dominance in those contests, at least until halftime, has absolutely affected the market. But I don't see any stop to the Carolina money. We haven't seen that buyback point from the sharps yet, and it's not going to come until this game hits seven. There's a reasonable chance we will see sevens on game day. I don't think we'll see it before Super Bowl Sunday, but by game day, we may well see Carolina -7. And to me, that would be a stop price on the Panthers. If you like the Panthers, bet them sooner, not later. Total wise, this is an interesting game to discuss, Paul, because we got a 45s across the board offshore
Mhm.
and 46s here in Vegas, one of those rare split line situations, at least as of right now.
And the unique thing about the Super Bowl is when everyone comes to town, the Denver fans or people who want Denver will say, I want the Broncos to win the game. Forget about the points. So you're going to have a great opportunity here with the cheap money line on the favorite.
And that's an excellent point to make because the reality of Super Bowl betting is this: the guys that want to bet the favorite, lay the points with the favorite. So the people that are betting Carolina, they're not betting the Panthers on the money line. They're betting Carolina minus the points. The people that like Denver, well, a good number of them say Broncos to win straight up. So you get a
Yep.
market inefficiency. The money line by kickoff does not generally correspond appropriately with the point spread. So you want to say, what's the best bargain on Super Bowl Sunday? It's real simple. At kickoff, the best bargain in the hour before kickoff, the best bargain on the board is going to be either Carolina on the money line or Denver plus the points, depending on which way you want to look at it, because of the unique way that the money comes in for Super Bowl.
Excellent job, Teddy. Coming up next, we'll get to all the props and the big game breakdown. Stay tuned for that. All right, we're back. We'll get to all the props coming up, a deep dive into all the action and all the pages that you can bet. It's time for the big game breakdown. The line of 6 and 45. We love number one offenses. Number one scoring offense against the number one defense. Teddy, this is a great matchup. Can Carolina move the ball on Denver like they've done all season?
Well, let's talk about this from a value perspective. All right, look, the Panthers went 17-1 this year. 12 of their 17 wins came by a touchdown or more. And several of the games that they didn't win by a touchdown or more were blowouts where they kind of took their foot off the gas and let teams back into it. Certainly the Saints game, the Giants game, the Seahawks game, they did win by a
Yep.
touchdown in the postseason. But we're talking about a team that has absolutely annihilated the majority of their foes. Now, some of that is certainly schedule related. Carolina did not play one of the tougher schedules in the NFL this year, but we're also talking about a team that just faced off against the top two teams other than them in the NFL, according to my power ratings, and they throttled them, Paulie. They had them both blown out before halftime.
So this is historic. 55-7 in the first half, these last two games. And as you mentioned, they were the top teams. 31-0 against Seattle, and they were all over Arizona. That game was over in the first quarter.
Yeah, it really was. But it's funny, you talk about the first half of the two playoff games. We can go back to the regular season and look at some really historic numbers for Carolina when it comes to getting out to fast starts. First half scoring margin, or first half scoring, the Panthers led the NFL almost 18 points per game, the number one scoring offense in the first half. First half scoring defense, how about this? They only gave up 7.1 points per game, the
Mhm.
number two first half defense. Now, there were three teams that ranked in the top five in both first half offense and first half defense. That was KC, there was New England, and there was Carolina. But the Panthers' margin of victory for the first half, 10.7 points per game. They blew away New England. They blew away Kansas City. So it's not just here in the postseason we've seen fast starts for the Panthers. We've seen that from this team all season long.
Now, as we mentioned before, all the money coming in on Carolina. Will defense be the great equalizer here against the number one defense that roughed up Brady and hit him 23 times?
Yeah, I mean, they beat him up. I mean, what do you think, Paul? We're talking about a Broncos defense that is not just good, it's elite. We're talking about Wade
Well,
Phillips, who is a coordinator who, if you haven't admired him, you probably should have. And he's going up against Mike Shula with extra time to prepare. I mean, you remember Mike Shula, the guy, the last coach at Alabama before they started winning national championships under Saban.
yes,
You
good
know,
point. Yeah, yeah.
it's
Well, wait a
it's
second now. This isn't the 2000 Ravens or the 85 Bears, though. I watched Roethlisberger carve him up for 400 yards and Antonio Brown at a buck 90 in that first meeting.
that was a bad game. That was the worst game they played all year. Denver's defense. I don't think there's any question about it. Look at the top defenses in the NFL and how they shut down opposing offenses. There's a great graphic to show it right here. Over the last 10 years in the NFL, there have been 529 games involving teams with a top three defense. Of those 529 games, only 66 times did the team with a top three defense lose by more than a touchdown. So that's 87.5% of the time the teams with the elite defenses hang within a touchdown of their opponents. Now it happens. Teams like Denver do get blown out. Heck, we saw it in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, in a game that was over on the
Yeah.
first play from scrimmage with the
Yes, it was.
with
Yes,
the
it was.
safety.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that defenses like Denver's historically and in recent seasons have had a whole lot of success catching points in an underdog role.
Although I don't, Cam Newton can move though. Dual threat, can throw and can run. and that was a beat up New England offensive line too. So I don't think they'll have the same kind of success hitting the quarterback and putting pressure on Newton as they did Brady and Roethlisberger.
It sounds to me like you like the Panthers a little bit, Paul.
Yes, I do. I love
Well,
them.
we'll have to get to the play of the day. That'll come after this when we come back with our deep dive into the props and the play of the day.
Time to take a deep dive into all the props. Plenty of ways to make money. Teddy, it all started with Refrigerator Perry a long time ago when the Bears played the Patriots with the refrigerator score a touchdown. Now look what's happened, what we can bet on.
Are you old enough to remember that Super Bowl, Paul?
Absolutely. Come on.
Barely, barely. You were knee high to a
It was a
grasshopper.
blowout. It was
You
a
know,
blowout.
but that's how it all started. Literally, one odds maker here in Las Vegas, a guy named Jimmy Vaccaro, he's still around. He's over at the South Point these days, but he's been around forever. And Jimmy was trying to think of something to help increase the handle. He's like, "There's all this interest in Refrigerator Perry." He thought it was a slam dunk. Will the fridge score a touchdown? He's like, "There's no way he's getting a touchdown in the Super Bowl." He thinks that it's free money, offering a nice plus price, and of course the Mirage, where he was at in those days, took a bath on that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
His quote though, yeah, we lost that game, but over the long haul, we did pretty good with those props, and that's what's happened every year. They've just been more and more and more, and not just in Vegas, all across the offshore world. You seen what the Superbook sheet is like. It's like 40 pages thick. There's over 400 props in there, and you can find equal number of props whether you go to Pinnacle or Bet Chris or Bookmaker or Heritage. Any of the main big offshore sites, Five Dimes, have loads and loads of props people get involved with, and they're not putting up these props just to put them up. They think they're going to make money on them. But I'll tell you what, here in Las Vegas, yeah, most of the money that comes in on props is what we would call public money, square money. But the wise guys that work hard on these, man, they beat them every single year. There are really good opportunities out there for prop bettors.
How many phone calls do you get around the game time and recommend, hey, bet this, take a look at this? And what's the strangest bet you've ever made on some of these? Yeah, Gatorade, Nash. I've had the national anthem the last 2 years. There was a guy who would break it down with the length and going back and the person's done in the past with the national anthems.
Yeah. Oh, no question. If you're going to make bets on the national anthem, it's something that you have to do. Is note. Let's do a little research on this. I've made national anthem bets before. I've made Gatorade color bets before. I
Yeah.
like the cross sport props. It's like total number of points for Ovechkin on Super Bowl Sunday versus the total number of interceptions from someone. Those are ones that always stand out to me. But the bottom line is, if you can think of it, there's probably a prop out there somewhere on it for the Super Bowl, and it's what makes the game more fun than anything else. Here's one prop that I never bet: the coin flip.
Yeah.
Superbook here in Vegas offers it at minus 102 each way now. Great. You can win or lose money before the opening kickoff. But of course, if you're talking about a coin flip and you're laying anything more than even money, even minus 101, that becomes a negative expectation bet. There are better bets than that to be made.
All right, let's get into a deep dive. How about three props that you like for Super Bowl Sunday?
Sure. Well, let's talk about you can look at the graphics right here. Let's start with Fozzie Whitaker. Fozzie Whitaker lined at over under 5.5 total rushing and receiving yards combined. And he's been hurt here in the postseason. He didn't play in the Panthers' first playoff game. He did play in the second game, but he was only on the field for 6 snaps. He's been limited in practice, but Fozzie Whitaker is absolutely a guy that the Panthers like to use on third downs. And the reports I've been reading is that he's going to be healthy enough to play. If he's healthy enough to play, this line's only going to go up. 5.5 over under yards right now. Let's take Fozzie Whitaker over. All it takes is one good rush or one quick pass catch for us to cash this wager.
All right, excellent. Number two.
Number two, let's talk about different ways to get at Carolina here. And we've talked about a little bit on this Sports Bit show today, talking about how you might want to look at the Panthers' first half. Here's another way to get at Carolina. We'll call this a derivative bet. All right. Panthers to win the game, you're laying minus 140, or sorry, minus 240, minus 250. But if you bet on Cam Newton to win the MVP award, you can get that at minus 140 right now. So instead of laying 5-2, you have to lay less than 3-2. Let's think about this scenario for a minute. Carolina wins the game. Who's going to win the MVP? I mean, it's
Yeah,
hard for me to
yeah.
say that Jonathan Stewart's going to be able to run enough against Denver and get 3 touchdowns and win the game. Maybe if some guy gets 2 sacks and a strip fumble touchdown on the defensive side, they've got a chance to win it. The receiving core, Olsen's the only one they throw to enough that has a chance.
Right,
Seven of
yeah.
the last 9 Super Bowl MVPs have been quarterbacks of the winning team. If you think Carolina's going to win, do a derivative bet. Don't bet Panthers on the money line. Bet Newton to win MVP award. That's a superior way to get at it.
All right, the last prop, and I like this. This is incredible value. Incredible value. And he saw you had a run in the Arizona game. Ted Ginn, plus money.
Not just plus money, plus 200 right now. He was
Yeah.
plus 280 at the open. That was a run to the window. Don't walk to get involved with Ted
Yeah.
Ginn to have a rush attempt. But yeah, this is the basic premise here. We need Ted Ginn to get 1 rush attempt. During the regular season, he only had 4. Carolina didn't need him. They didn't use him in that role very often. Here in the postseason, he's had 1 in each game. The first one, he got a first down. The second one, we saw it against the Seahawks. He had a crazy touchdown run. The Panthers have to find ways to get the ball into their best playmakers' hands. It's not going to be easy throwing against Denver's defense. I expect Ted Ginn to get a rush attempt at +2, at 2-to-1 margin, 2-to-1 return on investment. To me, that's a no-brainer wager. It's as good a prop bet as you can find on the board this year.
I totally agree. Great analysis on that one. It's money time. Time for the play of the day. What do you have, Teddy?
Well, what do you got, Paul? You're handing it all off to me over here. You're on this show too. What do you think?
Incredible value here. Once it goes to 7, you have to jump in and take the points with Denver. Now, you mentioned there was 2.5, 3 available. How about this? About less than a month ago, Pick'em was available. So the middling opportunities are out there if you grabbed Carolina or the NFC, which was a Pick'em about 3 weeks ago as well. Middling opportunities. But Teddy, we've seen this before. When 93% of the bets are on one team, what usually happens? It blows up.
Once bet the other way.
Yes. Once it goes to 7, grab Denver and take the points because incredible value at 7 in the Super Bowl in this one.
I'm with you 100%. And the key here, don't bet Denver now.
Yeah.
We're talking about a line that is not yet available, but there's no rush to bet Denver. Take your time, twiddle your thumbs, wait until a couple hours before kickoff and start shopping around. I do believe you will see +7s out there. And at +7, the Broncos are worth a wager.
Excellent job, Teddy. We'll see you next time on SportsBit.